Point Reviews, and I'm Sam. This is Leroy, and this is the first review going on this site. Iron Man 3. We know it's a little old, but hey, we saw it and we wanted to review it. So let's go ahead and get right into it. It's not, in my opinion, as good as either of the two. And I'll say this about the first one. I think it's one of the best Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. And I think the second one is just good, if maybe just good. I don't know if it gets there. It's like between okay and good. But I don't even feel like Iron Man 3 lived up to that, and we'll get into more. Any first thoughts before we get into the plot?
Yeah, I pretty much agree that the first one was really good. I didn't know anything about Iron Man going into it as far as like the comic books. I knew a little bit from like video games or whatever. So it was my first introduction to Iron Man, as many people knew him. So I was like, that's great. I love this. I can't wait to see another one. The second one wasn't what I expected. I wanted more like the first one, and it was okay, but I wasn't crazy about it or anything like that. So.
Alright, and so now I'm going to try and give a plot synopsis of Iron Man 3. I don't really remember too much, but sorry about that. But it starts off with Tony Stark in the very beginning, kind of him and Pepper Potts, and it's all like, Pepper's like, when are you just going to be with me, Tony? When are you going to put away all this other stuff? And I don't know if she's referencing the Iron Man stuff or what. It seems like that because I'm not going to spoil anything, but you'll see what I mean when I say it seems like that at the very end.
It did seem like she was kind of getting tired of
so she just wanted Tony Stark to focus on her. That's what I'm getting from that.
Maybe.
And you have this another like company wanting Tony to join and tie in, funding wise. Stark Corporations to fund this project called Extremis, which is essentially like it heals. It's like a tissue regeneration serum. Stop cancer, stop whatever. It can heal you. And I won't get. That's what I'll say about that. And then also you have the Mandarin, which is I guess the main bad guy or the main antagonist, and he's kind of like this Bin Laden terrorist figure that's attacking Tony Stark and attacking the whole kind of United States in general. And I'll say this, there's internal struggle, and there's essentially fight scenes, action sequences, Iron Man. That's all I'm going to say. I don't want to say anything else about the story. Anything else, I think I'm kind of going into spoilers on that.
I mean, yeah, even if you did, there's not a whole lot to be said about the story. I mean, so my thing was, I liked the way it started. It looked like there was a lot of room for them to take it into an amazing or a cool place. But I think it kind of, for every idea they had a lot of ideas. And I felt like they just kind of threw them all together, and they never really fully realized any of them. And the original, the beginning one was good, and I was like, okay, I like to see this. I want to see where this goes. And then they stopped it, and they pulled away, and they went in a different direction. And it was like, okay, we're going this way now. It's like, what happens now? And then that kind of was like, okay, well, we don't know what to do with that. Let's go over here. And it was like, okay, I don't know what movie am I watching now. It's like, Is this like, a 3-part series or something in one movie? And by the end of it all, I just kind of felt like, it seemed like, okay, they're going to focus on his internal struggle. I've seen all this. If you've seen Avengers, hopefully you've seen it already. If you've seen it, you know that, okay, they were dealing with aliens and all this other stuff. So he was like, okay, I don't know what to do. This stuff is real, and I'm used to being prepared, and I'm not prepared for this. So I was like, okay, this is interesting to see where this goes. It never seemed to get addressed at any point. Like, it just kind of went for a while, and then it kind of faded out, and we just ignored it. And I was like, okay, what was the point in that? And I think it was another point that they were heading in, and it was like, okay, let's not do that either. It was like, okay, I don't know what I saw, actually. Yeah. I mean, it was just like everything just came together. It was just mush.
No, we'll say this, and I heard he was a good director. In fact, Shane Black was the new director. Jon Favreau directed Iron Man 1 and 2. Shane Black and another guy, I forget the other guy, but they also co-wrote the script on this. I heard it pulls into a lot of Shane Black stuff. The only Shane Black movie I've seen, he wrote Lethal Weapon 1, which I really enjoyed Lethal Weapon. And you can kind of see him bringing in the buddy cop. Even though they're not cops, you definitely see the buddy.
In Iron Man?
Well, I'm not saying it develops anything, but him and Rhodey, you know, kind of.
Honey, not Honey, but what's his name? Smiley, not Smiley, Happy.
Yeah, Happy.
Happy. I love that character. That was actually a character I enjoyed.
Yeah,
even though they didn't do anything, he was fun to watch. But he was just over the top. Like,
you have certain shootouts because I'll say this, Iron Man, and I don't really have a problem with that. I'm I'm one of those people that really, really, really enjoy Dark Knight Rises. Batman's not really in the Batman suit for that long in that movie, and neither is Iron Man or Tony Stark in the Iron Man suit for this.
Speaking of which, and this is what really annoyed me, was they call him Patriot, whatever. War Machine. He's War Machine to me. He didn't do anything in this movie. There was no reason for him to even be there. He was just there. You see him in the scene, and then next scene, let's go. And he didn't even shoot anybody. And I was like, why is he in this scene? The guy, Don Cheadle did more outside of the suit than he. I had an issue. With that. It was no
bringing that up. I feel like Don Cheadle was a sidekick that had no character development whatsoever. They had him in there. It's like, oh, I don't know if Tony will be able to get through that. Let's bring this character in. Okay, I don't really see the purpose in bringing in Rhodey, or War Machine / Iron Patriot. I don't really see why they brought in that character at all. When they brought in the War Machine suit, which they could have completely left out, and probably actually would have made it better for me.
Probably have gone better.
There was no sense. They did nothing with that suit. I heard they may make a movie. I'd love to see that, and a much better movie, hopefully. But they did nothing with that. Speaking of characters, they did nothing.
Make a movie for War Machine?
Yeah. Okay. I would like to see that personally.
Yeah.
Speaking of characters, they did nothing with Rebecca Hall. She was in The Town. She was in The Prestige. That's what I know her from. Really good actress. They brought her into this, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, that's very intriguing. Maybe I know Pepper and Tony were pretty much like this, but obviously maybe a love triangle, even though it kind of
it almost, it's just like everything else.
It almost was
went somewhere, and then they took it out.
They did a twist with her character, but the twist is like why?
Yeah.
I
don't know.
It felt forced. I guess it was to push along the plot, but the way they twisted her, I was like.
This was like 10 different movies that didn't finish.
You didn't have to even establish her character the way you did because that made no sense. So it's like, okay. And then the way her character plot ends, that's all I'll say, I was like, wow, really? You brought in this character for nothing. Nothing. I mean, why even pay for that actress?
Yeah. Guy Pearce.
I just want to say this. Everyone did a good job in acting before because I don't want to say but Guy Pearce's character, his motivations, like literally, it almost feels like they took his plot from out of Batman Forever, and that is
a slam, people.
That is a slam. That is a slam, and I'll even say this: it felt like it felt like it was as bad as Batman Forever. Wow.
That's kind of mean.
Wow. And it's just like, really, really, and why? And some of the stuff they do with his, like, the way they make the bad guys, I don't want to spoil anything. I'll just say fire, like, and Guy Pearce. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Fire and Guy Pearce.
Oh, gosh. There's a certain scene.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, and fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to do it. But I'll just say it's stupid and cheesy. I was like, wow, you really went there.
And it's like you have Guy Pearce here.
And who's a great actor.
If I mean, you just need, if you had better material, I mean, the direction was good, and then it's like you kept stopping, and then eventually you just had material there that wasn't, like, why even use this? It's not even...
Ben Kingsley's character, the one that had the most promise, and all comic book stuff aside, however you feel about, I'm not going to mention what they did, but you probably already know there's a lot of controversy about it. Comic book stuff aside, I felt what they were building up to, whether it be the comic book thing or something completely different, it was a complete letdown.
Yeah.
Because all the stuff they did with Ben Kingsley's character, I was really enjoying. In fact, I'm like, I'm not really a big fan of this movie so far. But I'm really liking what they're doing with
And
him.
the fact
It's something
is,
I haven't seen before.
even if you're going to sabotage that and go in a different direction,
that's what
you
I'm
still
saying.
could have made a really good
that's
movie.
what I'm saying. You know,
Yeah.
even if you sabotage the comic and didn't make anything like the comic book, because that's what a lot of people have complaints with, it would have still been a really good movie if they would have capitalized on, or a really good plot point. Because to be honest with you, I really wasn't even enjoying. I was like, okay, it's an Iron Man movie. It's not bad. It's not good. Or I mean, it's good. You know, it's getting me through.
And the way they finished it wasn't particularly special.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like almost any actor could have, any good actor could have done that.
Like the last action scene, it was pointless. I mean, it was like, okay, I can do this. There was no resistance. There was no
getting into the action. A lot of people was like, well, we hadn't necessarily seen. I'm like, I've seen him do this many times. Maybe not in this ways. But it's not so intriguing that, oh, wow, this is so cool.
Right.
The second, I was bored by the last action sequence. Yeah, it's an action sequence. I mean, really, you've seen cool stuff like that.
You've seen a lot cooler, though, for sure.
Yeah, in Iron Man 2 and the Avengers, like how it got on. I don't want to, that's how it got on. That's all I'll say about that. There was one cool action sequence. It was with the plane. I felt like that was something different, but it could have been like, it was cool. I wasn't necessarily.
There was aspects to it that made me think of the first Spider-Man, which is a good thing to be compared to.
Yeah.
At the end of Spider-Man, I'm not gonna go into it either, but it's like trying to be a hero.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
They could have done more stuff like that.
And I thought that was pretty cool, but I mean, other than that, this movie was really the character development. Like, I'll say at the end of the Avengers, you felt like it was full. Tony Stark was there, and I was really thinking it was going to be a really deep internal struggle. Not really, because they stepped his character 5 steps back. I felt like personally,
and never really progressed.
And where they progressed to it was exactly where we left them off at.
Yeah, and then they kind of rushed the end of it, and it's like, okay, why did it end like that?
Because I felt like some of the lines they were using for comedy, that was old Tony Stark. Yeah, he's still
it wasn't even funny.
And he's still kind of snarkish and stuff.
It was more interesting the first time.
He's still snarkish and stuff, but he's not that snarkish. He's not that like not menacing, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And it's just, I was like, wait, that Tony Stark wasn't like, for me, I'm not talking about comic book, I'm talking about movies.
He was a jerk.
Yeah.
He was a jerk.
And yeah, he just wasn't that much. So I'll go ahead and wrap it up. Give my score. Iron Man 3, it really was a letdown. In fact, this will probably be the only movie out of the Avengers series that I will not buy at all. And I'll go ahead and I'm giving it a 2.5. And that's pretty much all I gotta say.
I will say this, we've actually recorded this several times, almost it's like the 5th time, and after thinking about seeing other movies, better movies, and just knowing what a third movie can be, I'm actually lowering my score for this. I'll give it like a 1 plus.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah, I'll give it a 1 plus, because I'm very disappointed that they had all these stuff together. They could have made a giant movie. However long it was going to be, it could have been so much better. I feel like they didn't try. They just kind of just threw a bunch of stuff together and just like, okay, stamp it. We're on to the next thing. Yeah. So I'm disappointed.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully Thor 2, let's keep our fingers crossed and hopefully it'll be better. But that's it, and thank you for watching.